What is Elin? Well, it's Stardew Valley's farming, meets Skyrim's leveling, meets Mystery Dungeon's dungeons, meets RuneScape grind, meets Diablo's loot, meets Terraria's crafting, meets Dragon Quest Builder 2 base building, and also a pinch of RimWorld. Got all that? Swell. How does it start? Well, you wake up in the wilderness, like true forests and trees, designating shading bush, that kind of stuff. There are two strangers that might be related, but who gives a fuck? In the era of incest porn, everything is relative. After waking you up and treating you to a rather bland vegetable soup, yikes, they give you a land deed on this patch of land and say, psych! You now have to pay taxes, Lamau. So, immediately, you're screwed from the get-go. The other stranger, a female, says that the Japanese government offers me a servitude of a government-issued pet. They are a dog, a cat, a bear, and a little girl? What the fuck is this game? Huh. I went with the girl for that emergency food benefit. Yum yum. She then proceeds to issue me a tutorial quest to go and find her dog in a dungeon where I died 20 fucking times. I hope the reward was worth it. Oh, and the reward? It's her dog. After that, all bets are off. You can travel around, meet people, sell your body as a sex worker for furniture stamps, go clear dungeons, understand the life cycle of monster-sized cabbage, organize religious cults, eat children, become a pious god worshipper, or the strongest explorer, or a renowned town builder, or the most wonderful music performer ever. The world of Elin is your motherfucking oyster. Now let's begin the review. As I told you not too long ago, we've got farming, dungeoneering, questing, grinding, base building, and prostitution. You know, it reminds me of RimWorld, but this time all the war crimes and unpleasant implications are actually woven into the lore of the game. I swear, this game wears its brutality on its sleeve. For example, you can kidnap an orphanage worth of children to maintain your gene-stealing laboratory, but beware, because the orphanage is guarded by a literal demon. Fuck is this game? Sex can kill you, your inventory can kill you, food can kill you, drinking from a well can kill you, not paying taxes can kill you. It's like we're living in Australia, but isometric and fewer spiders. Where to even begin to review this game of the decade? Yeah, you heard me. This game is so good it consumed my entire being, and I've lost control of my life. That only happened almost 20 years ago when I discovered masturbation, I mean World of Warcraft. Same thing, really. But we don't judge in this game. Nuh-uh. There is only Elin, and everything is fine on the continent of Tyrus. Oh look, you can self-harm. Now your real-life hobbies are in the game. How about that? Anywho, we can divide the game in two parts. Base building / farming, and adventuring. That's the bread and butter of this game right there. I'll say it right off the bat. You don't have to build a base if you're not autistic enough. You can go full damn bitch, you live like this vibe, and the only consequence of your negligence will be abandoned garbage bags that are breaking out like a rash on your PP after the vacation in Thailand. Don't say I didn't warn you. Since we started talking about the base building, let me give you the basics. At the start, you're giving an axe. The instrument, not the deodorant. And you're given a carte blanche on your patch of land, and with that simple axe begins your era of terror. Experiment away, my fellow degenerate. You can grow wheat, run a store, brew wine, sell hallucinogenic mushrooms, run a mining operations with your kidnapped children. Do whatever. If you can think of it, you can do it. However, whether you do or do not conduct illegal activity or run an ordinary farm or not, for example, I have only this grass hut with a heater and a piggy bank, it's not much, but it's home. In any case, the taxman is going to come for your ass, so you better be prepared to pay up or ship out. The check is in the mail won't work, bucko, so if you plan on making your land into something worthwhile, think of a concept that would involve you getting money out of that. And remember, the goddess of harvest enjoys being offered corpses as much as vibrant crops. Don't ever forget that. Now, adventuring, that's more interesting, wouldn't you say? There are some things we need to go through in order to understand what's going on. Let's talk stats. Firstly, the most important ones are DV, which is dodge value, PV, protection value, and DP, double penetration. Okay, we have the standard mix of classes, attributes like strength, constitution, dexterity, perception, and all that kind of stuff. Boring. Now skills, now that's more interesting. They are almost infinite. Because every combat activity, every crafting action, every farming, mining, sculpturing, whatever, it all has an associated skill of its own. Every skill has a potential, which is a multiplier applied to the experience gained by a skill. Simple enough. Potential can be increased by paying in platinum coins to a trainer that you can meet in almost every town. Hate to say it, but grinding skills in this game is akin to playing RuneScape. It's that long and agonizingly slow. My kinda game. We also got feats. These are must-haves that you receive with experience. They can either increase your attributes or skills, or give you other nifty bonuses, like an automatic night prayer, recovering more stamina while asleep, or get a random spell that was revealed to you in the dream. I am not going to discuss classes, because in my humble opinion, all builds are viable. In a nutshell, builds in Elin are like Eastern European prostitutes. They're all nice, you can pick any of them and be satisfied. Elin is structured in such a way that you will be able to solve any equation, any trouble that's coming your way. You can be a Lone Ranger that throws alcohol at enemies and thus making them drunk and disoriented. Or you can be an all-powerful tank that doesn't feel a thing because he milked the all-powerful monster from her teeth and drank that blue milk like it was pumpkin spice latte that increased his stats. Yeah, the game gets weird if you haven't noticed already. Anyway, this isn't Path of Exile, where you have a limited amount of skill points to blindly copy the current meta. Nope, here you can build and become whatever the fuck you want. The only resource you spend here is your time, since you'll have to boost a new skill from scratch and all, but in Elin, we've got infinite levels, infinite skill points, infinite possibilities. Because everything scales in this game. Let me put it like this, if you encounter any problem whatsoever, it can be solved by increasing your stats. Yeah, just like in Dark Souls, where you pump vitality in order not to die from a single hit. Same rules apply. Increase your stats, bring your troubles down. Speaking of which, you're not alone in this world, meaning there are gods who listen to your prayers and watch you commit all them atrocities. I don't really follow the meta of which god to follow or whatever, but I have some understanding that some gods are better than the rest. Anyway, following gods is easy enough. If you're lucky, you will encounter the altar out in the wilds or in a dungeon, and it will give you a brief explanation of what this god does. Gods can fit your playstyle, whether it's constant unrelenting combat or slice of life. There is certainly a god for you. Each god can grant you a skill boost, then give you a follower, and then their artifact, which can make or break the game for you. Example, Apatas of Earth is a nice god to follow if you have zero clue on who's to subscribe. By the way, subscribe to this channel. His passive supports strength, endurance, and weightlifting. These skills you're going to be using regardless of your playstyle. This god's bonus is that all incoming damage, all of it, is reduced by 10%. And then you're giving a golden knight pet, which is pretty much a juggernaut who can carry the game for you. But wait, there's more! Opathus Sammer, his artifact, further reduces damage by 10% and increases your HP by 100%. Now that's a fuck ton of health. That's just one god. Elin though, got 11. Let's talk questing. Now, that stuff is pretty much standard, all things considered. You can get a quest when you need to gather 7 piles of shit to deliver to your client, or be a drug mule and deliver sleeping pills to quote-unquote wife of said character. Basically, quests can be divided into combat-oriented stuff, like patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish— No, get the fuck out of my head! Or you can get tasked with harvesting the farmland, bringing heavier than an elephant tomatoes to whomever bought your valuable time. When you complete a quest, your influence of said village will increase, which lets you do more quests, restock stores, and fuck horse. Truly a Skinner box of the 21st millennium. Not to mention that you can use influence as a currency. One popular notion is to procure furniture tickets sold by the town's secretary. So you can barge into some poor schmuck's home, play eeny miny mo with their furniture, and grab the one you find most appealing. It's all yours, my friend. Welcome to communism. Another thing that grows with influence is your karma, which is how people perceive you. They either say stuff like, "Hey, Henry's come to see us," or "Boo," if you're low on said attribute. Now, karma drops when you do something bad, like stealing the pension from the elderly or selling your body like a whore that you are. By the way, the most serious crime in this world is tax evasion.
Thanks, Obama.
While in town, you can invest in businesses, but you won't get money out of it. Nuh-uh. Now your useless economics degree can amount to something at least. I'm not saying it was a good choice, but now you can be sure that the vendors will stock a higher tier worth of goods thanks to your shekels. So, now you can buy porn mags instead of like magic tomes. I don't know, never played the game. Wait, what the fuck am I saying? Ooh, almost forgot this part. Another consequence of being capable of doing your job, like collecting monster-sized cabbage from a field or killing 20 goblins, is gaining fame. You gain it from finishing quests and exploring dungeons. The more fame you get, the more difficult the quest will become, and the more dungeons will appear on the global map. Remember that. So if you're a sissy femboy twink boy pussy punk that wants none of that fame getting into your head, you can sell it to the town's informant. Fair warning, people, you can die from overwork. Truly, this game was developed in Japan. Never before we've been so close to attain Karoshi. So please, if your character says it's tired, it's actually fucking tired and you should find some place to sleep. Funny thing about that is, you can sleep in pretty much any bed of any house of any city. That is what communism is all about, comrade. Real quick, let's recap all the pros and cons that this game has. Here we go. Firstly, this game will finally scratch that itch that RimWorld left, wanting a more RPG focused rather than base building game. This is it, guys. This game is legit. I can even go as far as to say that it feels and plays exactly like anime Kenshi would play. Yeah, imagine that. What else? Well, I can tell you that this game will have as much freedom as you may so desire. The game's motto should be, if you can think of it, you can do it. This game has incredible knowledge system. Get this, you sleep and acquire new spells. I wished real life was so easy. But the only perks of sleeping in your 30s is soiled mattress and groggy wake up even if you didn't drink like fish yesterday. It's a Japanese title, so of course there will be minigames, such as slot machines, mainly for the Japanese audience, and basketball for, I don't know, Americans. Next up, the game has boatloads of activities and skills to develop. This one speaks for itself. You can be a vendor of hallucinogenic mushrooms, Da Vinci level sculptor, or the world's most prolific prostitute. The game will allow it and actively encourage it. Again, if you can think of it, you can do it. Now this may be not everyone's cup of tea, but the game certainly oozes charisma through its charming 2D isometric graphics. It reminds me of MapleStory and Ragnarok Online, equally charming video games of their almost forgotten era. Oh, those were the days. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a prostate exam to go through.
Are you not tired yet of me listing all the positives?
Okay, just checking. Moving on. We've got an absolutely huge world where you can lose yourself, moving from town to town in search of a quest, a valuable item, a potential ally, a recipe, you name it. There are bazillion reasons for you to travel. They're very dynamic and numerous, and the best part is, you decide why you want to travel. For me though, it was Wanderlust coupled with an idea of becoming an outstanding musician that slowly gathers his loyal fanbase from city to city. Kind of what I'm doing right now with YouTube, if you think about it. Nonetheless, there are no restrictions. Each city is different from the last, so go ahead and paint the map with the greatest victories, impossible findings, tougher than nails adversaries, and memorable characters. The world of Elin is indeed your oyster. Speaking of the world, it's very chill. The world has this je ne sais quoi vibe that's impossibly calm and serene. Yes, you can die in this game and suffer the consequences, but there is no game over. You can always crawl back, dust yourself off, and do correction of mistakes, whether it was low level, low skill, weak weapon, or all of the above. This game can easily become your comfort food, because you can bite and chew however much you want. You won't choke on it. The next one is extremely important if you're on the spectrum. No judgment whatsoever, friend, we're all unique. Anyway, the game boasts fantastic base building mechanic. You can easily turn your dirt hut into a work of art if only you have enough time and gumption to do so. I opted out of base building. I was always into traveling more, which is probably why I will never own a house in real life. Not in this economy. You know, this game reminds me of Space Station 13 in a good way. Just like in that game where everything was under control a mere minute ago, suddenly turns into a shit show in a matter of seconds. Let me tell you, this game is no stranger to wacky and absolutely bonkers stuff that may and probably will happen to you. You can never guess what a simple escort quest can turn into, or what does this dungeon hide from you. I don't want to call this game random, but it's certainly surprising in more ways than one. And last, but absolutely not the least, I have to say that Elin totally, 100% completely encourages mistakes and learning at your own pace. If we compare it to Dwarf Fortress, which tagline is "losing is fun," then I fucking disagree. I'm in my 30s, and I have zero fucking patience for building my colony from scratch just because someone decided to unearth an elder demon from another dimension. Dozens of hours wasted, they ruined, dwarves killed, and you think to yourself, which part of this is supposed to be fun? In Elin though, it is fun, because there's virtually no game over. You can recover pretty much from any situation that you're facing. You drank a potion that turned out to be liquid fire and died, who cares? Got ganged up by a bunch of orcs mid-quest, whatever, you can take the karma dent. No money to pay for taxes? Just gather mushrooms and craft shit on your workbench. You'll be in the black in no time. The game offers you so many solutions to your problems that you only need to stop and think for a moment. They may not be obvious, like gigantic breasts of that girl who always wears hoodies, but they're there. Okay, so what are the cons of this incredible game then? I found only 3. Let's unpack them. Firstly, the game does have a steep learning curve and is very complex. I'm not gonna lie, just like your favorite uncle, I haven't even begun touching the mere tip of the proverbial iceberg. I'm not into farming, base building eludes me, I haven't even begun clearing the void, etc. And yet, I'm making a 20-something minute review out of it. This game is so vast, you're going to need years to clear the content currently available to the game. And with that, let's segue into the game's next disadvantage. Early access tag means exactly what it says on the tin. The game is raw, no way around it. If we compare it with the previous title that Noah, that genius bastard, made, we still don't have blacksmithing, alchemy, cargo trading system, necromancy, etc. Whether they'll be there or not, who knows? But what we have now is enough to sustain us for years, make no mistake about it. And the last disadvantage that this game has is rather simple: poor controls. I'll be honest, I took this one from the game's user reviews, but I myself simply don't get it. They say it's cancer, I say it's intuitive and crystal clear. Okay, maybe, just maybe they're tricky to get a hold of for a beginner, but a seasoned gamer would have zero problems with them, no questions asked. I'm not going to talk about combat that much because it's pretty self-explanatory. As it stands, melee is inferior to magic and ranged weapons due to a raw imbalance between the three. Every update brings more buffs to melee, but for now I would recommend starting as a mage or as a ranged character, because it's so much easier. Remember, the game is turn-based, so there is no rush in your actions. And thankfully, the game has auto function that fights battles for you. An auto-battler of sorts, if you think about it. Make a mental note though, throwing weapons like boomerang are superb in early game. It's a never-ending avalanche of ranged attacks that can kill pretty much anything, as long as it's not a hermit crab. Fuck those guys. Remember me telling you this game is chill, and you learning at your own pace? Well, have I got news for you. The first 90 in-game days are somewhat of a grace period, meaning if you die, you can get resurrected, no questions asked. I once died while having sex with the ugliest motherfucker ever lived, and during the sex I got crushed and paralyzed, and it hurt when I was performing my carnal duties. And the other time I got killed by a turkey, the animal, not the country. So basically, you can experiment, go dungeon diving, die from some random fucker who hits like a ton of bricks, and you lose nothing from said unsavory encounter. So use these 90 days to fuck around and never find out. Enjoy. So, what else do we need to mention? We don't talk about that. Here's my final piece of advice to you. Take everything in stride. This game is so huge, it will be overwhelming at first couple of dozens of hours, but figuring everything out is so worth it. The game is simply wonderful, you will be definitely consumed by it. And that's a good thing. Life in this game is what you choose it to be. Become the world's most prolific prostitute whose bed skills are so renowned even the kings and queens want to lay with you. Become the GMO produce farmer whose single potato can explode the intestines of anyone who eats it because it's so nourishing. Become a dungeon cleaning adventurer whose only strategy of forbidding enemies is throwing alcohol at them and making them drunk and fragile. Never before have I been given such an audacious and raw freedom in a video game. You can find your own corpse, roast it on bonfire, and eat it. Yum yum. You can find the potion at the end of the dungeon and, thinking that it's your reward, you drink it and melt horribly because it contains the sulfuric acid. If you can think of it, you can do it. You can go swim in the hot springs, clean your body, and then drown because you forgot to breathe in the midst of all the bliss. You will either hate this game or it will consume you. There is no other option. Now, I deliberately didn't mention Ilona anywhere in this review simply because I want you to judge this game on its own merits. There are two types of people that will watch this review: Ilona veterans and new crowd that is intrigued by the prospects of this ultimate game. To the former, I dare say it's better than Ilona Plus. To the latter, I wanna say, go for it. It's worth your time and money. You have probably noticed from my vivid description of the game that this title doesn't pander to modern audiences, which is definitely a plus. The developer seems to be free from all the obligations, pandering, corporate greed, and legal liability. God bless you, Noah. Thank you for letting me commit all these war crimes and have fun from all the atrocities that are available in the warm and fuzzy world of Elin. Because this is one of those games that remind me of my adolescence, where I would play video games all night long, go to sleep, wake up, and then play again without eating and drinking at all. I feel young again. I feel free again. My brain is actively concocting all them schemes and horrifying plans for me to achieve. It's like remembering more innocent times where you didn't have any obligations and the only care in the world was playing your favorite video game in front of that bulky CRT monitor until you puke. And you know what? These days are back. Simply put, this is one of those games that catch you thinking, I could be playing Elin right now, instead of whatever the fuck you're doing. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to genetically modifying my little girl to have extra arms to clean my house more efficiently. Thanks for watching.